right. My next guest is Earl of Hell, all the way from Edinburgh, Scotland. What's up, guys?
Hey, good man. Good to be on the show.
I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm super excited to have you on for lots of different reasons, which we're going to get into.
Yep.
The first of being our recent announcement that you are officially signed to Slightly Fuzzed Records.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool.
Woohoo! Feels awesome. You guys are one of a couple bands that we're working on getting on Slightly Fuzzed Records, and you guys happen to have some stuff ready, and we put kind of a plan in place and ready to announce it, ready to go on the podcast, do all this kind of stuff. So I'm stoked. I hope you guys are excited about it.
We're surprisingly organized.
Yeah.
We're not usually organized, so yeah, it's cool that it's all getting off the ground.
How long have you guys been together?
So technically, our first jam was 2020. January, end of January 2020.
You guys have been in bands before.
Well, yeah. Me and Dean were in a band for 4 or 5 years, and then we both met Ryan at college, and we actually started up something with someone else before Lewis, and it wasn't really happening or going anywhere. So then we didn't do anything for a while, and then I seen an advert on Facebook or something like that of Lewis looking to get something started up. So we got in touch, and then I was like, I know a drummer and I know a bass player who would be up for this. And that was it. We booked a rehearsal, and I think that would have been ended January 2020.
Yeah, and one of the songs that we had written was Blood Disco, and it was I'd tried playing that again with people before. I had maybe 2 or 3 practices with other drummers or other players, and it just never kind of felt right. And as soon as Ryan came in, and he came in with this kind of Caius Green Machine drum straight away, I was like,
perfect.
That's it. There we go. This is our sound. And it kind of really took legs. It grew legs pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
obviously we only got a chance to have a handful of jams before obviously coronavirus put a halt to absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much how it started.
Did you have a sound in mind when you kind of came together and started practicing? Obviously, you had a song in your back pocket that you said you kind of found that sound on. But were you guys like, we got to start a stoner band, or did that just kind of come out when you started playing?
I think we kind of talked about me and you first started talking. We said kind of to do some sort of stonery stuff, and we were talking about bands like Caius and like Fu Manchu and those kind of bands.
Yeah,
something along the lines of that. But we didn't really want to say that's what we're doing. We didn't really want to pigeonhole ourselves, because
I think with the amount we've all got very different and very wide, expansive music tastes. Like we're all kind of into our own different things, but the ones some of the things we had in common. I think if it had the other guys not come in, been united, could have went into some sort of post-punky type thing.
Exactly.
But altogether, the main middle ground is like this kind of stoner rock,
Caius, Black Sabbath
type thing,
Queens of the Stone Age sort of thing that we all collectively sort of have, even though we're all totally different things. There's a few bands that I think kind of help us retain a sound that across we're all on board with.
Right.
So a lot of us are into some weird shit and whatever, but I think it all comes out as well. I think that's why, as much as all our songs don't sound the same, they're from the same band, which I think is quite cool. It keeps it interesting.
Like when we're warming up at rehearsal, you never know what genre is going to come out.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, that's what that's it.
Jams in between can go far and wide.
Yeah, it's always different, but I think that's good. I think I'm quite proud of the fact we don't just, well, not to ourselves anyway, we don't sound overly generic, or it's not the same all the way through. It does kind of keep it fresh. It can maybe be a bit of genre hopping and stuff like that. So it's cool. I think it keeps it fun.
Mentioned like Queens of the Stone Age and Fu Manchu and stuff like that, but
yeah,
it's not like, so derivative of those bands. It's not just like a copy of those bands.
No.
You're not impersonating anything. You have your own sound, you have your own thing going on. But obviously you can feel that influence in there and stuff, and which is
100%.
why I love it, because I love Queens of Stone Age, I love Fu Manchu and stuff. So I'm glad we found each other for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff, because especially Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands, so I'm stoked about it. And
again, another band that no album is the same. It's really
absolutely I mean, totally different each time they get together, and I think that's what makes kind of this genre interesting, is people just kind of do whatever they feel like whenever they feel like it. And being a fan of music, I mean, that's the best way to do it to me. I don't want to hear the same album every single time,
No, exactly. Unless it's Motorhead, then I can deal with every single album the same, so it's fine.
Yeah, like Slayer always comes to mind. I'm like, well, I mean, Slayer, so that's fine. But also, like, I don't want to hear the same thing from Queens of Stone Age each time. So
no, exactly. Yeah, Slayer do what it says on the tin. Like, we are Slayer, and all our stuff is this, and it's great. So yeah.
AC/DC. Can you imagine AC/DC doing anything different at this point?
Yeah, exactly.
So we've obviously spoken back and forth a little bit, myself and a couple of you, but this is kind of our first like face-to-face meeting, honestly, here on the podcast. So it's nice to meet you guys and kind of bounce around some ideas and chat about, what you guys have going on and what we're doing together in the future. So one of the ideas that I've talked with a couple bands about was doing some sort of Slightly Fuzzed compilation. And since a lot of what I do on Instagram with Slightly Fuzzed is based on album covers and parodies, they were like, let's do a covers compilation. So do you guys have any covers that you currently do?
We do a couple, yeah. We do. we do. So as you've seen, we do cover Big Bigs by Caius off Wretch, off the first Caius album. But we also cover an Osmonds song, Crazy Horses by the Osmonds, which does sound like the least rock and roll thing on the planet, but you probably heard the song, and it's a badass song. It's so funny. So 100% been down to record that.
I'm into it. I've had a couple people on here on the podcast, and we talked about covers. And honestly, it's like the best covers are those like random soft songs. Those are the best ones to do as like a heavy band, because you're not just like imitating someone else's work and trying to do it your own way. You're like totally taken in this different direction. Those are always the best ones anyway, So I think that's a definite possibility here in the next, so many months, is doing like a covers compilation. And I'd love to have either one of those songs on there. That'd be cool.
Sign us up. You're well up for that. Yeah.
So any other ideas? What else do you guys want to do?
Oh,
covers wise.
Covers. Well, for what other covers?
Covers wise, or just anything in general? How are we going to get the word out about Earl of Hell?
Doing Hocus Pocus by Focus. No chance. No. Idea wise, like, obviously that'd be cool to do, be on a compilation album thing as well, because that works great for the bands on it and also for the label itself. A lot of things like that can have a good reach online and stuff. So yeah, it's a great idea. I think it'd be cool up for that. Yeah.
So as a band, what do you hope to accomplish? Like, what's the thing that if it happens, you'd be like, we made it? Is it like being able to quit your day jobs, or like selling a certain amount of records, or like what is it as a band that you're looking to do?
Obviously, as you kind of go along, there's obviously stepping stones for every time you kind of reach the next one. But for me, I've always just wanted to have my own work on vinyl, and I think when I get that in my hands, it's going to be like a tremendous. I've made
holy grail. Yeah.
But
I've heard that from a few people. Yeah, I've talked to a few bands that were like, it was just getting on vinyl. That was it. That was like the thing.
I mean,
seeing things on Spotify. I've never had anything on Spotify before. I tried actually before. I never managed.
Even seeing it, I think that's the thing. Like when you see your music on certain mediums, whether it's physical or it's digital, I suppose it's got that kind of, this is real. Like, I'm in a band we've released something that's been properly released, and everyone in the world could essentially hear this. So I think that's it. But I think like stuff like say being able to pack in the day job, like that's pipe dream stuff, really, when you think about it, because the amount of look at the amount of bands, and especially the stoner scene, who you would think are this huge stoner band, but they all have day jobs.
Yeah.
You know
Even
what I mean?
the biggest bands that I've talked to, or even just seen, bring it up online. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they're huge. They're on a big label. They're doing big tours. They're selling big numbers of records. Like, this must be the thing. And even them, they're like, just got off of work, back to the road. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
if you're getting into music here in the stoner scene, you're fucked. You're gonna be working for a while.
exactly. Because we were talking about this recently. I don't know if you're aware of a band called Idols.
Mm-hmm.
So their guitarist is a dentist. And they guys have they're huge now. They're doing massive tours and like crazy shows, like 3 nights in the same venue in the US and stuff like that. He only just gave up being a dentist like a couple of months back. So it just shows you could have like 3 or 4 albums out. You could have sold loads. You could be toured everywhere in the world, but you still need to be working a day job as well.
Being in critical acclaim, selling your record right now.
You're still a dentist. You can't get away from it until now.
At the end of the day, when it does, if it ever if that road ends and you go back to having to try and get a job again, and they look at your CV and you go, you've been playing your guitar for the last 4 years.
Exactly.
Why should I hire you?
Yeah. When someone retires, like a really famous musician, they want to get back to work again. It's just like, what's your credentials? It's like, I played in a badass heavy rock band for years. It's just like, yeah, but
what does that get me?
What does that get? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But at that point, you might as well stay in music in some sort of capacity. You better be a consultant or start a label or work for a label or, I don't know, start a podcast or something, use your name or something. You're not going to go back to like being a teacher or something at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, for me anyway, I would like to see us just playing a lot of gigs, especially out with Scotland, breaking in, building up a fan base down in England and like especially other places in Europe. Even being able to play weekenders or week-long tours in Europe or something like that. Like that, for me, that's probably that would be like, oh, we've made it. Like we've been able to go and do a tour like in another country and people come out to see. I think that's kind of, for me, that's almost the dream. But obviously, making it huge and stuff, obviously that would be the biggest dream. But I think it's unrealistic to think about stuff like that.
I don't know if we could actually handle that.
Yeah, I don't think I could handle that either. But you never know.
So
no chance.
But when you get that, like,
how hard is it being in a band and trying to juggle the day jobs and schedules and going on a small tour or doing gigs and stuff? Like, how do you manage all that and all stay on the same page? It's one thing for like one person to figure it out.
Having 4 members in the band at the moment that all work different shift patterns, it's hard enough to get us all in the same room at the same time
for a rehearsal.
And you think that starting, as a band, starting when the country was on lockdown and you couldn't do anything else, you had no other commitments, it was still hard enough then to try and get us into a room. When some of us weren't working, or
we ended up getting our own place.
Well, we did manage to end up getting our own practice rehearsal room. Managed to hire that, so that was pretty lucky. So I'm glad we don't have to, try and plan 2 or 3 weeks ahead, trying to book 1 day or 2 hours in a practice room. Because we
can go whenever we want. So that's been the beauty. That was the thing about lockdown as well. As much as we were in lockdown, we were paying for a room, so we're still going to use it.
We're staying safe about it, but we're using it.
So we spent best part of 18 months in a room, just writing and rehearsing, and that's all we could do. We couldn't go out and gig. We couldn't record at whatever at points. So we just sat in a room. And I remember like when we played our first gig, and I remember people coming up to us after the gig and they were like, "This is your first gig?" Because, and I'm not going to lie, we were so damn tight, and a band that it's their first gig should never be that tight. But I think it's because we spent that long just playing the same songs for like 2 years and not getting out and actually playing them. And when we did it, I think people were a bit like, "Oh, okay." So it done us favors as much as we were ready to gig much sooner, but we couldn't.
Songs were just flying out, obviously, as well, because you had the time to, you built a jam and then come up with lyrics for the next time we went in, and so songs were just flying out all the time. And
because we didn't have to rehearse for a gig, we could just focus on write a song, well, that's cool. Let's just write another one, and it was just like that for the whole 18 months or whatever it was.
Right.
So as much as
Yeah,
it was,
it seemed like a lot of people, if you played it right, I mean, the lockdown was a great time to at least be creative, if nothing else. A lot of people got a lot done. You know, they hunkered down, they put their nose to the grindstone, they wrote music, they practiced music, they recorded music. Seems like a lot of bands that I've talked to like really took advantage of those 2 years of shit and turned it into at least a record, if nothing else.
Exactly.
And you'll notice probably as well through times of, strife and hardship that better music starts coming out of this as well, and people are angry and people are wanting to break out of this lockdown that they've been in for 2 years. And the more that the restrictions get lifted and then they get put back on and then they get lifted again, it's just becoming more and more infuriating. And I think that there's already in the last few years become this kind of emerging new punk scene. And I think it's just going to explode when, things finally do get back to normal.
Yeah, it's one of the cool things that has came about, and especially when the UK music scene is this, like I said, new wave of punk that's kind of rising, and it's cool. It almost feels like, I mean, I don't think I've ever experienced like a music revolution in my lifetime.
No.
Whether like grunge or punk or anything like that, and I think
we're the generation where everything's become way too codified for that to really happen.
Yeah,
I was talking to somebody about this recently as well. It's like, well, because everything's online and like everyone, you've got communication with people across the world. That whenever little sort of scenes do start to kind of develop, they never get enough time to kind of flourish, or you've seen everything already. I mean, I was watching like African drummers on YouTube the other day. I've never been to Africa, but I know. I know. Your mind's already been blown. So these wee things, when they do start happening, just kind of dissipate and go nowhere. So scenes don't happen anymore.
Stoner's a good example of that too. Desert rock, stoner rock, whatever you want to call it. But like, there's plenty of music in the States coming out, Texas, Philadelphia, stuff like that, a little bit. But at least half of the stuff that I listen to and people that I talk to, it's like Greece. There's so much like good stoner music coming out of Greece, stuff really across the world, and just like big scenes over there that are just like running with this stuff. And like, if the internet wasn't what it was, or if Instagram wasn't what it was, or whatever, like I have no idea,
Yeah, is it 1,000 Mods?
Yeah.
For Greek band, they're excellent. Like, they're so good. I said, but they've been together for a long time now. But they're awesome.
Even Truck Fighters. I mean, not Greece, but like Sweden or something. It's like,
they're great. Yeah, that's a Europe, man. This is why we're talking about. We want to go over to Europe, and we want to be able to get a bit of a following in Europe, because all those countries just love their hard rock.
Yeah.
Rock,
what's it like in Scotland right now? Because I don't hear Scotland come up a lot, but what's it like?
I
don't know. Scotland's weird. Scotland's different even from England, music scene wise.
I think there's just an absence of any sort of scene here. There's kind of like art school type of
in Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh in particular,
that's kind of almost like a sort of the post-punk type thing coming back again. There's a new sort of wave of that, but not, like I was saying, nothing really starts to.
The way I've always seen it is Edinburgh's the capital city, but it's very geographically enclosed, and the university spoils the city. So every 3 to 4 years, all your promoters, anyone who's booking your gigs, they all change. And so there's never really a scene develops. It's like it kind of goes through phases and then dies again. Whereas and then Glasgow's always had a bit of an indie thing going on. So you never really get much of a scene for the heavier music that stays. Yeah.
I mean, one thing that Scotland has always had is quite a good punk scene. And that stems right back to like the 70s. And that actually, it's weird, it's still going really strong. Like all those bands, Scottish punk bands that were playing in the late 70s and early 80s, they're still playing. There's so many of them still going, and they still play in Edinburgh and Glasgow and stuff. That's been like the one constant since then. But in terms of like an actual scene, I mean, you've got places in England, like where those are from, down Bristol. Bristol have this huge scene going on. They post-punk. There are so many bands coming out, and they're all bands that are almost getting into like a lot of different charts and things like that. And it's all just stemming around this one city in England. But I don't think that's ever happened for anywhere in Scotland.
I know that the only thing in Edinburgh really is that the Jazz and Blues Festival comes around once or twice a year, and that just blows up. And you get all these musicians that come out of the woodwork that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the kind of places that we hang about in the old town in Edinburgh and everything, that doesn't exist there. It's all very like, there's another end of another side of the city. Like, they must come out at a different time of night.
Yeah.
All these musicians during the year.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realise how small Scotland actually is. I mean, the UK is small, but like Scotland is really small.
5 million people.
Exactly. There's like twice as more people in London than there is Scotland. So it's one of those things. Like, we only have really 2 major cities, and then another 3 cities that are more a town but can get called a city.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, so that's why we're kind of looking to just get out a bit more and get down to playing England a lot more, Wales, whatever, Ireland, and then hopefully eventually getting over to Europe. Because I don't want to be stuck playing Scotland all the time. I think there's a lot of Scottish bands, especially in Edinburgh and Glasgow, that only play Edinburgh and Glasgow, and they don't seem to venture out. And I just think sometimes that's it's a waste almost, because you could be this excellent band, but you're not going out further enough for people to hear you. Whereas that's where I'm determined with us. We're doing that.
I feel like you can play 5 gigs in Edinburgh in a year, span them out, and it'll be the same people that are at every gig.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, because it means that...
I mean, it's definitely a good way to get your chops up.
That's great. Yeah.
There's a lot of bands, even in Chicago and stuff, kind of around where I'm at. But, you know, if you stick in Chicago and you're doing good in Chicago, that's great. But at a certain point, you know, you got to prove it to other places too if you want to do anything with it. But
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell me about some of those gigs that you've done, specifically one on Halloween.
So we actually done 2 Halloween gigs. We played Newcastle in England, and then we went to somewhere we had played before in Glasgow called the Icebox, which, funnily enough, it's quite ironic it was called the Icebox.
Yeah,
but I'll let Lewis explain the story a bit more.
Well, so what happened is, it's Halloween, so I mean, we knew that we had some gigs coming up for about a month before, and we took so long trying to find outfits, and we went through a bunch of different ideas, Willy Wonka and
I may have been a lot
Clockwork Orange and
Clockwork Orange,
various
things like that. Anyway, just ended up settling for these skeleton skin suits, and which, as you can imagine, they're quite tight normally because you're not supposed to wear anything underneath them, or because they'll get hot when you're playing on stage. You're even hotter. And so we all decided, we looked at the measurements and stuff, and Eric decides we should all get medium because mediums will fit. I think Dean should have probably done with a large. You were probably a bit tight, but you didn't complain about it. And
I was all right.
You were sensible enough. You were ventilated and whatnot.
More than that was.
Off the plate,
And then I remember it was Eric that you made the comment that you were all getting medium or whatever, and you'd ended up getting yourself a small.
Yeah.
For some reason. Oh, okay, you'll regret that one. The first night went, and obviously you're saying a couple of times on stage that it's bloody hot up here, and as soon as we've done this gig tomorrow, this is getting chucked in the bin.
Is getting binned.
Yeah, and it was, the first night was hot, but then the second night up in the Icebox, you were wearing you had ripped your skeleton suit the night before.
So the zip had burst on the back of it, and I was like, I can't go about on stage with this bust, so I've got like a leather jacket with a big Motorhead patch on the back and stuff. I was like, I'll wear the leather jacket on stage, it'll cover up the fact that this is all ripped at the back.
But you had a t-shirt underneath as well.
But I had a t-shirt underneath as well. And yeah, I think we got maybe about halfway through the gig, and I was like, guys, like I didn't. I think I shouted to you. I was like, I'm going to have to get off the stage.
We were mid-song when you shouted that, so I heard nothing. I just heard, and then you ran off the stage. I thought, all right, okay, must be doing a bit. He's going to come back on with a bucket of water and try and, Ozzy Osbourne.
But no, I went behind the stage and passed out by the heat.
I just kind of seen a couple of people kind of going off stage, going off behind the stage. They kind of. And then they weren't coming back.
Yeah,
thinking, what's going on back there? Some sort of.
I was trying to make it to the toilet because I thought I was going to be sick with the heat, but then my legs just went from me. I remember I banged my ear off a radiator. It was in the toilet and stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't fun. So yeah, they were you just were kind of left to it. I'm on a seat like this, like dead, like still like half passing out and stuff.
Being
And
the professional showman that we are, the gig went on and we finished it and we played.
So how long did you guys stay up on stage by yourselves to go in like, what the fuck are we doing up here?
Half the set.
Oh, that's probably
Like
like
half
15, 20 minutes.
I think I think he's played 3 songs after a.
Very long songs.
Yeah. Because I could hear it going on. I really wanted to get back up and just be like, I'll be fine. I'll just go up again. But like, But safe to say that suit was in the bin, like in the trash can, straight away. Like
We were a wee bit worried about you at first, but we waited until we got in the car and we're ready to go before you started slagging you.
Yeah.
Well, just luckily, Lewis here does backing vocal, so he took up main vocal and just like, we'll finish the set and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Like, you just played a bunch of instrumental shit afterwards, or what?
Yeah, people still loved it. Like they were okay with it, but it was. But yeah, so whenever we do Halloween again,
I mean, something more sensible.
80s wrestlers or something like that. Just
Better to go scantily clad.
Exactly. Dress up as Randy Savage or like Hulk Hogan, something like that. That'll do. Be cool.
Yeah. So when you started recording music, where did Arrhythmia come from? Is that like a standalone signal? Was that one of the first ones that you recorded, or where'd that come from?
The second single.
That was the second single. So Blood Disco was the first one, and then Arrhythmia. That was actually a later song. We had a bunch of other songs written even before that one.
It was actually you that wanted to do that, and I thought because I'd only really just kind of written that and I think finished all the lyrics. We'd only been playing it for 3 or 4 weeks, and you decided this is our best song. We're going to record this.
Yeah, because I know you weren't overly keen on doing that one. But I thought it was one of the songs that had the most sound of a single. Because it was quite punky and stuff as well.
2.5 minutes long,
yeah. 2.5 minute song, perfect length for a single, 2.5 minutes. So we just went and recorded it, and it came out really well. And that's when we started using a specific person for mastering as well. A guy called Reza for Cryonical Audio. And the first time we got Blood Disco done, we never got it mastered. We just got the engineer to put a bit of mastering on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time we had sent something to be properly mastered. And remember, we got it back. And I was like, holy shit, this sounds great. Like, this is amazing. So, yeah, we put it out and it done not too bad. And we managed to get quite a good few amount of listens and stuff on it, Spotify and things like that. But yeah, it's great fun to play live. It's definitely probably a more other live song.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But yeah, no, it just came from, it was the first song that we all had our own input, and it came from just having a jam in the practice room, and then went home, put some lyrics to it, and the lyrics have nothing to do with the name. I think the name was actually Dean's idea.
Yeah.
We were talking about
made a good name for a song.
Somebody we know had a heart problem when we were discussing that, but we couldn't mind what the actual medical term was. No, it is Arrhythmia. That's a good name for the track. Just call it that.
I noticed though when we did actually go and record it that the guitar riff for it, because there's this kind of jump in it, that when you see it on the screen, you see the wave pattern on the screen, it looks like an Arrhythmia, a heart, defect. It's not like a. So it kind of actually fits in a different sense.
An EKG.
An EKG, that's it. So yeah, that was. Let's say that I'm glad that we did record that one. And again, like I think it shows a different. It's quite different for Blood Disco, as well. So it's almost straight up punk, that song. And like I said, I think it's cool to just have something a bit different. And then
let's go back to Blood Disco then. You said that originally you had recorded that at an analog studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I'd always really wanted to record on analog, and I remember this chap telling me when I bumped into him at a record fair that he had an analog studio, and I thought that was the best thing I've ever heard in my life. And I even did a piece when I was at college about the difference between analog and digital recording. So I was so in the mindset that we had to whatever I recorded next for this next band has to be analog, because it's how you get all the best things that I listen, all the music that I listened to in the 70s and the 60s. It's all recorded analog, and this is like the holy grail. So it has to be legit and authentic like this. And obviously you have to be a very tight band to be able to, get the right sound, and you can't go back in and put 1,000 different layers, 1,000 different tracks on, and overdub this and overdub that.
So
things get bussed onto the same tracks. Once you've done that, it's on tape and you can't mess with it. There's just so much thought that has to go into pre-thought and planning that has to go into recording in analog that you don't realize. That when we were in there, we were trying to get reverb sounds in the toilet and everything like that. We had big leads extending us through to the bathroom, out to the car park,
into the loft,
up
in an attic as well.
In the attic, and there was like pigeons flying about and all that. And we're trying to do the chorus, I think, for Blood Disco, and us two and the guy that was recording us. And in between takes, we're waiting for the pigeons to fly over our head and hoping that nothing fell on us. And
it's safe to say it got abandoned.
Yeah.
But we're actually trying to record 2 songs in that session. There's another song we have as well that we would have been on it, and that I remember that sounded probably even worse than what Blood Disco did.
Blood Disco actually sounded all right. It was a good. We done the first. It was our first crack at recording it. I think it was an interesting take because there was a couple of weird sounds in the end that you couldn't recreate that were just there.
Yeah,
like some sort of fret noise or something, and like the dropping of a stick that added to the eeriness,
the whole
of the
thing
song.
of it.
But that's the kind of thing that you get in analog recordings that you can't get in digital. Really.
That's where like Brant Bjork, he records everything in analog and has done for years. And he just records it himself. And just imagine trying to work analog and recording yourself. Exactly.
Most of the ideas that we have when we're in the studio come when we're in the studio and it's already recorded. And we go, we'll need to stick this on. Stick that on.
There's a lot of things you don't hear until you hear it clearly back from the DAW in the studio. And you go, I'm missing Like as a bass player, you end up going, I'm slightly missing that drum fill, and go back and I'll catch that. And
I would say even like just doing the podcast for the little time that I have, the first few episodes I didn't even have a microphone for one thing, and I was like, it's fine. I do Zoom calls at work all the time. No one will notice. And like when I go back to edit it, I'm like, holy shit, this sounds terrible. And then I wasn't watching it. I was actually listening to like the audio only on like Spotify.
Yeah,
and that was when I realized how annoying it is for me to like talk over people, or even like just agreeing with oh yeah. And like watching the video, it's not that annoying, but if you're just listening to the sound of it, I'm like, holy shit, I gotta stop doing that. That's terrible. So like it's like those little things, especially when you're like with the headphones on.
You're gonna hate this later on. There's beer bottles.
I was going to put my phone under your bottle. I was looking at it like, you need to stop it.
I apologise.
I didn't want to be the one to tell you off. Like, as if it's like, it's my house, don't put the coaster down. Like, your bottle.
Oh, well.
And I think that must be difficult as well, doing it like from America to Scotland, and you've got that lag. You're trying not to interrupt somebody. That must be, you must have to get the timing right on that.
It's sometimes tricky. And like, I try to like I said, like I agree on stuff where I'm shaking my head, and I just try to shut the fuck up because it's just so annoying. And sometimes there's a delay. I've noticed if people that have headphones on, there's often a delay between our feed. And it's stuff like that where someone starts and then you stop, and someone starts and then you stop. And it's just like all those little things that you don't notice if you're sitting in the same room talking. But once it's on like recorded audio and in your ear in a headphone or something, it's unlistenable. It's terrible.
Yeah, it'll be even worse as well because you still can't quite make it out because we've got our Scottish accents as well. You're just like, what are they talking about?
We are slowing down, trust me.
Yeah, you're trying to speak quite slow and stuff as well. So generally, generally
we're going to like a goddamn thing.
But yeah, it's cool though. Like I said, we had that conversation last week via Zoom, and you had no problem picking up my accent, which was great. Whereas you can go certain places like in England or whatever, and they're like, "What?
Yeah.
Excuse me." Like you can't. But yeah, and believe it, this is actually quite a tame accent. There's some areas of Scotland that even we don't quite understand what they're saying. So
For sure. Yeah.
Eric and I bumped into a guy before we went to go and see the OCs in Edinburgh just before Christmas time. And he started talking to Eric about, I don't know, he mentioned one of his or is he
a patch or something? Yeah.
He mentions a patch or whatever, like I love the band and all that. And I'm like, I didn't realise you could speak another language, Eric. I thought you were actually speaking.
You thought it was German or something, yeah.
And the guy's just for the north of
Scotland.
And he's chatting away, and I'm not understanding a word of this.
Yeah.
I've had a guy on here that was from, I think, the UK or something, and just the last one that I did, the guy was from France. Right. So, you know, there's tricky ones sometimes, and I'm not particularly good at picking up on some of that stuff sometimes. I mean, you know, I come from the Midwest of the US, so like we're about as like redneck as you can get, and like not used to other people.
Yeah, that's cool.
So why don't we play Blood Disco? We talked about the recording of it a little bit and stuff, so let's give people a taste of what we're talking about, and check out this first single from you guys, Blood Disco.
This is now a new mix of it as well, so this is one that's going to be.
Sounds better than before.
It sounds a lot better now. So cool.
And no pigeon noises or anything in this one.
No pigeon noises. No.
Strikes in waves, vengeance waits up done. You will not be remembered as the chosen one. Real to real, the disco, the disco. Real to real, the disco, the disco. You were my first victim. Up to the spot you fell. Your marble eyes glazed over. Your skin in a purple shell. Evil strikes in waves. Vengeance waits undone. You will not be remembered as the chosen one. Real to real, the disco, the disco. Real to real, the disco, the disco. Murder on the dance floor. The train I like wine. Suck your vein just like a straw. The blood spit out of time. Evil strikes in waves. Vengeance waits untold. You will not be remembered as the chosen one. Real to real, the disco, the disco. Real to real, the disco, the disco. Real to real, the disco,
So that was Blood Disco. Anything else about Blood Disco we should know?
Actually, see, you don't like going on about it, but I like actually where you came up with the idea for it.
No.
I like that though. I think that's quite cool.
It was a bit from the title was kind of stolen. But I won't say where from.
Acquired.
It was acquired.
It's not even acquired. It's not as if it's copyright. I'll say it then. I don't know if you're aware of the TV show Glow.
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
And
Actually, I've watched it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you know the screenwriter Sam. One of his screenplays is a vampire flick called Blood Disco. So that's kind of where the name was. Sort of like that's where the kind of the influence. But yeah, which is funny because like you told me that and I was like, oh, you've watched Glow. Because like both me and Ryan are like big wrestling fans, and like Lewis isn't. But it's just like you've seen Glow, and so.
Yeah.
But I quite love that. I quite like that story. I think it's quite cool.
It was actually that kind of, because he was writing these kind of gory horror type screenplays and stuff, and I thought that's a great name for a song. And it just, I got all these, just the name Blood Disco puts all these images in your head, and it just gave me such a visual. I think a lot of our songs come from that kind of like, they've all got a sort of visual aspect about them, and like I've mentioned that, you know, we're big kind of movie buffs, and we like our movies, and especially kind of Tarantino sort of stuff, and like our old school horrors and things like that. And we just each song could be like a kind of soundtrack or something, you know. Like there's the first track on the new EP that's coming out is got a kind of Western Wild West type, you know, theme. There's witchy themes. There's, you know, so
we don't write love songs, so it's like it's. We should give it a bash. Though. We should give it a bash. We should have a love song, but we've not got one yet. We've not got a ballad yet.
We could definitely do a sort of Jesse's Girl type thing.
Yeah, exactly. It may come at one point. You never know. We might sell out and just do all love ballads.
Oh yeah, I love my Barry White type stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah.
That's kind of what I thought of when I was listening to Blood Disco, though, too, was like a B movie kind of thing where, you know, it could be like the intro music behind the opening credits or something of a movie called Blood Disco or something. You know, that was kind of the imagery that came to my mind. So it's interesting that you said that. But
we actually thought about the name as a band name as well.
Yeah.
At one point, that was in like trying to get a band name sorted for us was one of the worst.
We read there was a few titles that.
Yeah, I think we had maybe 4 or 5 band names at one point. And we just kept changing it. We got it sounded great for the first little while, and then it was no, I don't think we should.
I'm trying to get something that, because we were quite like adamant that we didn't want to get sort of boxed into one sort of genre, and we're still trying not to just do something that's too derivative or whatever. There are some names that really just take you into, or just, I mean, I know that some of the best bands are kind of like, say, the Beatles came up because of this, they're playing beat music, and eventually you grow out of the name, you become bigger than the name, and you just, it just becomes its own thing. But especially when you're starting out, it's got such an effect. If somebody asks you, I always used to think that the best test for whether you had a good band name or not is if you're somebody of sort of superiority or whatever, like your boss or an older family member was to ask you what your band name is, and if you cringe yourself when you tell them it, then it's probably not good for you.
Yeah.
Trying to tell, you know, my granny that my band's called Blood Disco.
Yeah.
You might want to hear one of our songs here.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember some of the names that we had. Hot Wax was one, which I still quite like. Hot Wax was quite the Sliders. Yeah. The Sliders as well, which is that based on the Slider by T-Rex. The T-Rex album, the Slider.
But it ends up sounding like it's a jobby.
Yeah, it sounds like a slider. Yeah, exactly. So we put the kibosh on that one. There was another one that we had as well. Before the Sliders, we had something.
This is torture, so maybe just forget about it.
Yeah, it's fun though.
It is fun. And there's so many weird band names out there, and the stories behind them are always really interesting to me. But like you said, like being able to tell people with a straight face, like what the name of your band name is kind of important.
But see,
there's plenty of bands out there. I mean, there's one that we've talked about on here a couple times called like, what was it? Something fucker. And I'm like, that's going to be a tough one to sell. I mean, you're going to put that on every album. You're going to tell people that.
Ridiculous band names, like the Butthole Surfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great band name. Great band and great band name.
80s Matchbox Beeline Disaster.
Exactly. There's a band you might be aware of. There's a stoner band called the Golden Pig Electric Blues Band.
I don't know that actually.
Yeah, they're great, but yeah, the Golden Pig Electric Blues Band is like, that's fucking excellent. Like, that is such a good band name.
Anal cunt.
Yeah.
Anal Cunt. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like,
I mean, chances are is that their parents are probably very aware that they're that kind of person already.
I'd love to be that guy who doesn't give a shit, that can just, happily announce in a room full of his own peers that, like, the band name's called Anal Cunt. But
Imagine going up to your gran asking you, "What's your band called?" And
Yeah.
you go, yeah, my band's called Anal Cunt.
Yeah.
how do you spell
To
that?
your gran.
How do you spell that?
Back in talks at jury service. I'm an anal cunt.
But yeah, that's it. But I think that's why we took so long in deciding on a band name. And the reason we did go with Earl of Hell was we really wanted to have something that was almost Scottish related. And there's an old Scottish saying which is as black as the Earl of Hell's waistcoat. Obviously relating to like the devil, as much as we're not a satanic band at all in the slightest. And I think that's maybe like, which makes it even funnier. It's almost it's ironic, like we're not like that at all. But
It's like a little tongue in cheek almost.
Exactly. That's the way we thought about it.
If we were like really a kind of heavy metal band or like a sort of thrash band or something, Earl of Hell might just be a bit too
generic almost.
Yeah. We're kind of dipping our toes in that kind of heavy realm, you know.
It's like the story Eagles of Death Metal.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you're aware of the story behind that. Yeah, and they've nothing to do with death metal, but it's because someone heard them play and like, you guys are the Eagles of death metal.
Right.
Like,
that's the first one that came to my mind too. It's such a good story and like such a good explanation of how you came to your band name too. Is like, well, we're kind of like the Eagles of death metal.
Death metal, exactly. Yeah, and it stuck, which is great.
Yeah.
And also, like the Eagles, like sell the amount of albums and vinyl that they're still selling. If you're behind the Eagles in order of alphabetical order, then
exactly Eagles of Death Metal are next.
List,
so
Earl of Hell is always kind of funny to me when we first started talking and stuff, because like here, Earl doesn't mean anything. It's just a name of like some random dude. And it's probably a little rednecky of a dude anyway. Like, he might be a redneck kind of a dude. And it's just Earl of Hell.
I quite like that as well, though.
Somebody did comment on one of our posts recently as well and said that, and also top name as well, my name is Earl.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're doing a good job of pronouncing that as well, actually. I think it doesn't help with our accents that Earl has a kind of two syllables as well, and it's a bit of a tongue twister here. And so a couple of people have introduced us as other names. It just gets caught up.
Or sometimes like the Earl of Hell. It's just there's no the. It's just. But yeah, and an Earl over here is obviously it's like a lord. It's like within the royalty. Yeah.
If you look into your satanic, satanic stuff, I did a little bit of research when we came up with the name, and then the Earl of Hell is like Satan's bitch, basically. But the Earl of Hell goes out and basically like scouts who's coming to hell. So quite like that as well.
Isn't Earl like a part of like Catholic church stuff though too a little bit? Isn't there like a Earl and a Cardinal?
No, it's more like monarchy.
Monarchy sort of thing.
So
it's the same,
like a duke almost.
Right. Yeah.
I was going to say it's along the lines of a knight, but it's not, because you get knighted. You don't get earled.
Yeah.
You don't get earled. An earlhood.
All right, so let's talk about one more song. Bitter Fruits. It's got something else that none of the other tracks that I've heard have, and that's some keys.
We can't wait for that to be, obviously that's got to be part of the EP that is coming out. And obviously we've got a new member sort of be coming in on keys, and he's on a bunch of the tracks on it. So we kind of just sent him the track, and we gave him free rein, but we're kind of just like, put keys on this and make it cool. And And then he came back. Well, I remember you messaged us on Facebook, and you were just like, Daniel's went rogue. Like, what do you mean? He's like, you should hear what he's done to Bitter Fruits. And I was like, all right. And then sent us it. And we listened and we were like, holy shit. Like, it was a different song, but I added all this, obviously, piano stuff at the start and strings and stuff. And
an entire orchestra basically is put on this song. And I think the first time I heard it as well, I couldn't stop laughing because of how ridiculous it sounded to me.
Yeah.
And by 4 or 5 listens in, I'm like, this is absolutely genius. This guy is on another level.
Yeah.
Like one of these kind of outside the box thinkers.
It genuinely sounds like we're playing with an orchestra, and it's fucking
amazing. Put orchestra on a story.
It's almost like it reminds like the soundtrack to Hell. It's got that sort of
the song in its raw form is tuned lower than the rest of our stuff. It's a heavy rock in the song. It just focuses on like kind of string hitting fret sort of sound to it. And then it comes back with like what Daniel's done, and it sounds like a soundtrack to an epic blockbuster movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
We couldn't believe it.
Is that going to become more of a common thing in Earl of Hell?
I hope so, yeah.
The Western one as well, when he heard that, he went, oh, I wish I'd have heard this sooner as well, because I would have put horns and trumpets and stuff on this. It could have been total Ennio Morricone type thing, which would have been amazing. I don't know. I don't think any of the tracks actually need them. He said that himself. Like, are you sure you want me to mess with this? But it totally does take it in a different direction, and that's what all we were wanting, really.
Yeah.
But we couldn't have ever asked for that. Like, I would never have known that this track needs orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
It needs what is the name? Anyway, like a double bass, tuba.
Yeah.
It's got like bass clarinet and
crazy.
So it gives. I've always, I thought both me and you have always wanted to work with like a keys player or a synth player, because I think there's not enough really heavy bands do it, because it can give you such a different sound and the possibilities are endless. But obviously finding them a lot of the time is difficult, especially in Scotland. Finding a keys player is like so much so that our keys player is from England, so finding them is quite difficult. And yeah, it's got to be cool working with him, because the guy's a wizard, and probably going to be the most musically, theory-wise, in tune. You're pretty good at that stuff, but he knows his shit. So
it's handy to have somebody in the room that knows what they're talking about as well when you're trying to teach them, and you don't have the theory, the literacy to actually describe what you're talking about. So you end up just making an arse of yourself and singing it, or trying to teach Ryan, not teach obviously, but trying to explain to Ryan what you'd like him to do on the drums, and
as opposed to going,
can you do?
I'm constantly trying to increase my theory knowledge, and I'm hopeless with drums. So like, no matter what I can do on the bass, when it comes to like asking Ryan to do something on the drums, I'm basically just like boom, ba da boom, ba.
Well, it's bit there's a bit in that Daniel does in Bitter Fruits as well, and I was trying to explain it when we were in the practice room the other day, and I'm thinking I'm being all smart as well, because I've remembered a little bit of my high school music lesson, and I've said the arpeggio bit in the middle there, and then Dean just goes, actually, it's not an arpeggio, it's an ostinato. Right, okay.
Smack down.
That bit goes through.
And I felt that small.
So we kind of touched on it a few different ways there and just kind of glossed over it like it didn't happen. What are you guys working on? What are we about to do in the next few months? Tell everyone everything you want to tell them about that.
We're working on a 6-track masterpiece that takes you from Stoner Rock into the heights of Grand Orchestra in the Royal Albert Hall.
It's a concept EP that's 20 minutes long. It's like,
it wasn't intended to have any sort of concept, but we must just be so obsessed with it that it ends up being about death, and there's themes of vengeance and
witch burning.
Witch burning.
Yeah. Every song's got a theme of death in it, and hence where the name came from. I mean, we had 4 or 5 different ideas of the name, and I think it was Eric came up with Get Smoked.
Get Smoked, because it's got 2 connotations really. Get smoked, which means get smoked, get killed, or it could just be in the stoner sense, get smoked. Like,
yeah, I would assume that in stoner metal, stoner rock, most people are going to be like, yeah, dudes, get smoked. Let's get smoked.
It's like the Bob Dylan song Rainy Day Women, and it's not about they'll stone you as in they'll kill you, but everybody must get stoned in the end.
Everybody get stoned.
So we'll take that one. There's 2 meanings.
So in short, it's going to be a 6-track EP called Get Smoked. Like I say, we're really excited about it. I think we're all really quite proud of it as well, the way it's came out. And obviously yourself, you totally digged it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it out there.
And when can people expect to get their hands on it? When can people expect to get their hands on it?
So 29th of April is going to be the release date.
April 29th for the States.
April 29th for guys in the States. We would say the 29th of April.
Sure, you can mark it out.
So April 29th.
Yeah. Last Friday.
And obviously it'll be coming out on 12-inch vinyl, which will hopefully be there on time.
Yeah,
we're hoping. But obviously we're going to put up some pre-order stuff up soon as well. There'll be more to come of that next week. But yeah, and of course it'll be up on all your streaming sites and things like that. But there'll be a single involved as well, which we'll hope will probably be out, I'm guessing, early March.
Video?
Well, a music video as well.
Recording that next Saturday.
Music video next week, which is going to be fun. So yeah, like I say, it's exciting times.
Very cool. Well, I know I'm excited for it. I'm sure everyone that is listening to this is going to be excited for it. I think it's gonna be awesome. I've heard the EP. You know, so I think it's great. What's that?
How many times have you listened to it?
A lot. I've listened to a lot.
Good answer. Yeah, to be fair, like it sounds really bad. I think I listen to it like 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, it's kind of like if it stands the test of being able to listen to it so many times a day for the last month, or 2 months, then it's good. We're not getting sick of it ourselves, and hopefully other people enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
To me, I need to put it through all the different tests. I need to put it on while I'm working, on stereo, and I also need to put it on my workout playlist while I'm working out, and I also need to listen to it when I drive. And if it sounds good in all those different scenarios and situations, then I like it. Then it's good. So
that's it.
I do feel that you just start, but certainly by the end you'll be driving faster. So watch out.
And running faster, and
kill the witch. Don't go Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, and kind of touching on that as well, even in the studio, where I find in the studio, I love being in the studio and working in the studio, but it can get really tedious at times and really repetitive when you're trying to get a song out, and you can end up sitting there, especially when it's drums getting done or something like that, and you're sitting there fucking kill me. But I didn't feel like that at all when we recorded this one at all. All the times I've been in the studio, it was fun. And
the thing is that Andy Howden, that we recorded it with as well, really knows what he's doing, and especially drum sounds. He just every song we've recorded has an amazing drum sound. Yeah, and a lot of producers will spend a lot of time trying to get that snare right. And it can drive you absolutely nuts, doing a sound check in a big hall and hitting the snare for.
It makes me sound better than I really am.
Oh yeah, I'll say that.
And he just pulls this ancient snare that sounds like a sniper shot. Use that.
Use that. That's it. Yeah. So, but yeah, the whole process was really fun getting it done, and like I said, and it feels bad because we have it all there. It's all ready to go. But obviously, it's not going to be out yet until the end of April.
That's the worst part. Right. Is that we started recording this because obviously there was more restrictions put on, we should have had this done in October or November or something, but we've had.
I think we originally really planned to release it in January, but because of everything going on, we just couldn't get the time to do it.
So we've been sitting on this for so long, it's really hard not to play it to everyone, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a good thing as well, because you don't want to rush its release, because you want, you know yourself, you want to get out to all the different mediums to get it either reviewed or build up a buzz before it actually releases. Like, it's what we've done with Blood Disco, because the very first time we released Blood Disco, we recorded it and we put it online like the next day.
Yeah.
Because at that point we weren't really savvy with the whole release.
Well, also I felt like how can we sort of get any excitement or build up on this when nobody knows anything about us or what we sound like, or we've never played a gig. We couldn't because we were in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the point in building up this release for who?
And I think for
cares?
the first single, it doesn't really matter anyway, because it's the first band that, well, it's the first track, no one's heard you anyway, so why are you trying to hype up a single for a band that no one's ever heard of anyway? So it made sense. Right. It really does make sense for the first single to just get that one out there, chuck it out.
Blood Disco was more of a demo, I suppose. We never got it obviously properly mastered or anything, and that's why we wanted to include it on the EP. Because it's the first rock song we wrote, and we still love playing it. We don't get bored of it. And it'd be great to get that mastered. And then obviously Daniel chucked in some keys on it as well to give that a little edge. And
we should have had them from the start.
Yeah. So I'm really happy that it's going to be on a release, and it's going to be on a record.
Yeah, a proper release. It'll be fun.
So
now, is Arrhythmia going on the record or no?
No. We did think about it, but we think it was done as a standalone single, and I think out of the rest of the stuff is going to be on the EP. It would probably stick out like a sore thumb. It's quite, it's almost like a different theme. It's got a different feel.
It's a bit more punky than it is stoner.
Yeah,
and it's.
To be fair,
I think it would feel out of place. We still play it. We're still going to be playing it live.
Yeah, it might have shown even more kind of dexterity, you know, like kind of another style that we can play.
Yeah,
but
I mean, initially, we weren't going to have Blood Disco on it at first either. We were going to do 5 tracks, but then we're like six is a better number.
If you're putting it on a 12-inch and you're asking people to pay, you know, £20, $20, or is it 25? I don't know.
Yeah, whatever it's going to be.
You know, give them an extra track.
I think also after hearing how Arrhythmia came out mastered, we really regretted not getting Blood Disco mastered. So we really wanted to like get that done, and it's just kind of like really good time to get that done. If we're releasing an EP, it made sense. It fit with a lot of the other tracks, so it really does make sense just to throw that onto the EP as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there was quite a few.
I'm glad you guys sat on it for a while, because otherwise, you know, I wouldn't be involved here on it. Probably, most likely.
Exactly. This is why I'm glad.
Now, I think the timing. I think the timing is going to be great, because you know we've chatted about it plenty, and you know we've made the initial announcement, and by the time this comes out, I think we'll probably have the pre-order up, and it'll be in the link down below. So, you know, release a single and
it'll be
final out.
Pre-order link here. Right over.
So hopefully by the time this comes out and everyone's listening to it, we should be all like set to go, and people will be going out and getting this thing here pretty soon. And by the end of April, you know, we'll get it in people's hands and stuff. So I'm super excited. So
yeah, we are too. Like I said, it's the wait now. It's the waiting game for it to come out. But like you said, it is good that we're going to be sitting on it for such a long time, because it gave us a chance to get this up and going with yourself. Plus, all, as you know, chatting to everyone else in the stoner community and building a bit of hype and all that. And we've got essentially 3 months of doing that. And it's great. So it can only be good.
Yeah. All right. So we got one more thing to do.
Yep.
Back by popular demand is a segment called Shitting, Fucking, or Playing. Okay.
Right, yeah, I did see this on one of your other podcasts. So, yeah, I know what's coming.
All right. So I'm going to show you a bunch of images here, and you're going to tell me if they are, in fact, shitting, fucking, or playing guitar.
Right, okay.
Now, how do you acquire pictures of people shitting? Is it done legally?
You don't want to see my search history. You don't want to see what I've seen.
So I'm trying to think about how this looks. I don't know. I'm trying to think how it looks though. She doesn't, because if it's a chick getting,
Are you
fucked,
thinking she
it
doesn't
would
look
be,
like a porn star? Is that what
yeah,
you're
exactly. Does she look like a porn star? I don't know. Is she?
I think.
Are any of these faces going to be familiar?
Probably not.
I
think
it might be.
she's shitting. I think she's shitting.
No, I think she's playing guitar.
No, I think she's getting
Okay, right. I think she's shitting. What about you?
I'm gonna go with Lewis.
What? She's playing guitar.
Aye.
Right, so
Right.
you are on the same team. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
She's fucking.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right, fair dues.
Fair enough. Oh.
Shitting, fucking, or playing.
He's shitting. That's a selfie. That's a toilet selfie.
Yeah, he should.
I don't know.
He should.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking. She's definitely
You
fucking.
can tell by that soft light.
Oh.
Yeah, she's fucking.
Yeah. The soft light gave it away.
We are too good at this. Oh,
He's playing guitar.
He's
playing guitar, 100%.
It's a trick.
He's shredding.
You don't think that guy's getting laid?
That's definitely an Ibanez guitar. DRF.
He's playing.
Aye.
It's
No,
a
that's an Ibanez.
It's
That's
an
got
Ibanez
to be.
bass.
It's an Ibanez bass. That was.
Oh, tricky one.
Fucking.
Nah, she's shitting. That's diarrhea, man.
I don't know.
That's the face of diarrhea.
She's playing. Nah, she could be looking.
That's a dodgy bass face.
Is that a dodgy bass face?
That's a
Playing.
dodgy bass face.
Playing.
Or drums. She could be playing drums.
Aye.
I could be wrong, but I'm going with it.
I hope she's not fucking, because that's not pretty.
Man, I thought I had you guys on that one there for a little bit, but she's playing.
See that?
Dodgy
Yeah.
bass face. There we go.
Oh my god, she actually looks worse when she's playing.
Jesus. Oh, that's BB. It's playing guitar.
Aye, yeah, playing. Well, I hope anyway. Yeah.
No, that's BB King shitting.
Could be both.
I've seen the Chuck Berry video.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah.
I can't kiss you, baby.
Oh wow. Fucking. Got to be fucking.
Shed.
He's fucking.
He's fucking.
Yeah, he's shagging himself.
Getting over it. He's fucking himself.
Oh,
no. Playing.
He's playing some.
He's fucking.
Oh, he's fucking. Okay. Right, okay. It could have been playing.
Have you ever had a round where every single one of them's just
Fuck,
masturbating?
just fucking
One after another.
He's shitting.
He is shitting.
Yeah.
I think it's a stock photo,
Yeah.
but he is shitting with his shirt off apparently.
All of them. Yeah.
At the same time, man.
Fucking.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking.
He shouldn't be though.
Yeah, he shouldn't be.
All right, this is the last one.
Oh.
Dive bomb into a pool.
Yeah,
It's like the night after.
cannonball into the pool.
Night after a winter.
Oh, shitting.
I believe he's shitting. Yeah.
Yeah. Game could be both.
Nice.
All right, now the last part of your Slightly Fuzzed Records initiation is showing everyone your shitting, fucking, or playing face.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Well, do we have to pick one each?
I don't know.
Oh, there's quite.
Which one is that?
You decide.
What you decide? No, you need to get closer to the camera for that one. That's too good not to be seen. So Lewis is taking one for the team here.
Which one is that?
All of them.
Is that shitting, fucking, or playing?
That's my That's my
That
kid's
could be one of your
face.
playing faces, actually. Excellent.
All right, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks again for being on the podcast, and
You're welcome.
like I said, I'm so stoked for this record to come out and get vinyl out to people, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it sucks that we have to wait as long as we do, but it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be awesome. So thanks for being on here and telling everyone about it, and looking forward to it.
That's cool, man.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
All right, later.
Bye.